Hello, Libra, and welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where the messages are not random, the timing is never accidental, and if you're watching this, it means something sacred is unfolding in your life right now. Let me ask you something bold. What if May 2025 is the month your life quietly, completely, and irreversibly transforms? Because Libra, this isn't just a horoscope. This is a spiritual roadmap. In this reading, 3 profound portals are opening before you: a divine financial blessing, a farewell wrapped in soul healing, and a wedding, not just of love, but of your spirit to its truest self. That's why you're here. Not because of chance, but because your soul has called in clarity, and this is how it arrives. You may not have said it out loud yet, but something inside you has already whispered, I can't keep living in between anymore. I can't keep sacrificing my truth for harmony. And the universe has heard you. May is not asking you to keep everything balanced, it's asking you to finally choose yourself. And when you do, abundance will come, a chapter will close with grace, and something ancient and beautiful will return, something your heart never really let go of. Libra, you have always tried to be the peacemaker. But peace does not mean silence. And harmony does not mean hiding. So let me ask you now, in full honesty, have you been living in the middle for too long? Holding your breath in someone else's story? Postponing joy because you didn't want to tip the scales? This reading is your permission to stop waiting. It's your signal to remember that you, too, are allowed to receive, without proving, without pleasing, without apology. And I want to take just a moment to offer my deepest, most genuine gratitude for your presence here. Every like, every comment, every share, and every subscription you gift to this channel brings you deeper into the Zodiac Whisper Tarot family. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Your support is what allows this channel to continue delivering divine, transformative guidance, not just to you, but to others who are quietly praying for a sign, just like you once were. And Libra, believe me when I say, you'll want to stay until the very last second of this reading. Because what the universe is about to reveal to you, it's nothing short of extraordinary. Now tell me, what was it that your heart whispered, that brought you here today? And what angel number are you seeing, or feeling, right now? Type it in the comments. Not for me, but for your soul. So the universe knows, you're ready to step through. Let's begin. Sometimes the greatest blessings come not when we strive, but when we surrender to what truly aligns with who we are. After all the years you've spent trying to balance everything, pleasing others, playing mediator, doing what's expected, May arrives with a quiet shift in the wind. And that shift begins not with effort, but with clarity. Not with proving, but with choosing. Right now, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, fortune, and divine timing, is moving through your second house of personal resources and value. This is no coincidence. In astrology, the second house is not only about money or possessions, it's about what you believe you're worth. It's where your sense of deserving is either nurtured or neglected. And with Jupiter amplifying this energy, life is now offering you a chance to finally rewrite your relationship with abundance. But here's the thing, this kind of abundance doesn't roar. It doesn't demand your blood, sweat, or endless sacrifice. It comes quietly when you make peace with yourself. When you stop chasing and start aligning. When you say, I don't want to succeed by someone else's standards anymore. I want to thrive on my own terms. The cards that accompany this message, Justice, Ace of Pentacles, and Queen of Swords, tell a powerful story of inner reckoning. Justice reminds you that life mirrors back the energy you put into it, not the image you perform. The Ace of Pentacles is a divine opportunity, a fresh seed of prosperity that's planted in honesty. And the Queen of Swords? She's the part of you that finally speaks the truth without apology. She cuts through confusion, illusion, and false obligations. She doesn't chase approval, she chooses clarity. What's so liberating about this moment is that it doesn't require perfection. It simply asks for your presence. For you to show up with courage and say, "This is what I value. This is who I am. This is where I'm going." And yes, money is part of this story, but not in the way we were taught to see it. This isn't about greed or status or getting ahead. It's about nourishment. It's about having enough to support what matters most to you, whether that's security, creativity, freedom, or generosity. Sometimes, we've been so conditioned to sacrifice that when a financial blessing comes, we question whether we're allowed to receive it. But you are. Let this be the season where you start receiving without guilt. Let this be the time when you realize that money, when earned through authenticity, becomes a tool for healing, not a measure of worth. If you've been hesitating on a choice, starting a new business, leaving a job, asking for what you deserve, take this as your sign. You don't need to leap blindly. But you do need to take a step. Even the smallest act in the direction of truth is a powerful declaration. I choose myself. You might find, too, that things start to click with surprising ease this month. Conversations flow. An unexpected refund appears. A new opportunity surfaces when you least expect it. That's not coincidence, that's alignment. It's what happens when your internal energy stops fighting against itself. There's a gentle lesson here, echoed in spiritual wisdom across cultures. When you take a step in faith, doors open that you didn't even know existed. Sometimes the hardest part isn't the work, it's trusting that you're allowed to stop striving. That you're allowed to be enough. That you're allowed to receive. So if your heart is tugging at a decision, if you've been feeling the nudge to act but keep waiting for the right moment, this is your moment. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're finally ready to make it real. And if a number has been appearing to you, perhaps 222, 888, or 11, trust that it's not random. These are reminders from the greater pattern of life whispering, yes, this is the path. Yes, you're supported. Yes, you are worthy of more than just survival. The invitation now is simple but life-changing. Act from who you are, not who the world told you to be. And the abundance that follows? That's just confirmation. There are seasons in life when holding on feels like strength, but in truth, it's the act of letting go that requires the deepest courage. As we continue into May, Libra, this moment asks not for more effort, but for softness. For you, who so often seeks harmony, who often holds space for others even when your own heart is breaking, now is a time of sacred release. And while release is rarely loud or dramatic, it is always profound. This chapter isn't about loss in the way you've come to fear it. It's about liberation. There may be a relationship in your life that no longer nourishes your soul, or perhaps a memory that lingers quietly in the corners of your heart, one you've never given yourself full permission to grieve. Sometimes it's not just the person we miss, but the version of ourselves we were when they were still near. But healing doesn't ask you to erase the past. It invites you to bless it, and then gently set it down. The astrological energy this month supports deep emotional processing. With Pluto, the planet of transformation, activating hidden areas of your chart, you may feel subtle nudges to confront what has remained unsaid for far too long. These are not obstacles. They are gateways. When we deny grief, it doesn't disappear, it embeds itself in our bodies, in our patterns, in the way we approach every new beginning with hesitation. But when we allow ourselves to feel the full weight of a goodbye, a new kind of lightness emerges. In the tarot, the combination of death, Three of Swords, and the star tells a clear and poignant story. Death, often misunderstood, isn't about endings in the literal sense. It's about evolution. It's the shedding of an old skin. The Three of Swords speaks to wounds that haven't quite healed, those private heartbreaks that still quietly shape your days. And yet, the star rises with its message of renewal, reminding you that after the breaking, there is always rebuilding. But only if you let it. Think of this as emotional spring cleaning. Not because your love was wrong, or your memories unworthy, but because there's no longer room to carry everything at once. God doesn't ask us to forget what hurt us. But He gently reminds us that forgiveness, especially toward ourselves, is the way back to peace. And forgiveness is not weakness. It's not about pretending nothing happened. It's about acknowledging the pain, then choosing not to let it define you anymore. You might find that a simple ritual, writing a letter to someone you've never truly said goodbye to, brings surprising clarity. Not because they'll read it, but because you will. And in that private moment, when your words meet your reflection, you may discover that the only permission you ever needed was your own. Grief is not linear. Some days, it feels far away. Other days, it returns like a wave you thought had already passed. But tears are not regressions, they're releases. Crying does not make you fragile. It means your heart is still open, still willing to feel, still brave enough to remember. And that, Libra, is a strength many will never know. So as you move through this chapter of quiet surrender, let go of the pressure to make it look graceful. Healing is not performative. It's deeply personal. And if all you do today is breathe through a memory or whisper a long overdue goodbye, that is enough. You are enough. Some people are chapters. Others are entire books. But not everyone is meant to be part of your whole story. And that's okay. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for yourself, for them, is to let the past be complete. And in doing so, you make space. For peace. For clarity. And for the next beautiful thing that's waiting to find you. Love doesn't always arrive the way we imagined it would. It doesn't always make a grand entrance or announce itself with certainty. Sometimes, it slips in quietly, like a familiar melody we forgot we knew, soft, steady, and deeply honest. After the release, after the goodbye, after the inner surrender that May is asking of you, what comes next is something gentle and whole. And for you, Libra, it may be the kind of love that doesn't ask you to be anything other than exactly who you are. This month's energy is asking you to let go of the performance. Real love doesn't need perfection. It just needs truth. And the truth is, you've spent much of your life trying to create balance not only between others, but within yourself. You've become skilled at reading a room, knowing what to say, how to soothe, how to harmonize. But love, real love, the kind that brings peace rather than anxiety, won't require you to cure it yourself. It will meet you in your rawness, in your stillness, even in your doubt. Astrologically, Venus, the planet of love and connection, is moving through a space in your chart that highlights emotional intimacy, spiritual partnership, and sacred reciprocity. Combined with the influence of Pluto's recent shifts, there's a quiet call now to stop romanticizing what looks good on the outside and start listening to what feels right on the inside. This is not a test. It's a return. A return to sincerity. A return to love that doesn't take from you, but holds space for you. And if something or someone comes back into your life this month, it may not be by accident. It may be part of a divine correction, a resolution to something left incomplete. The tarot cards that guide this part of your journey, Two of Cups, the Lovers, and the Hierophant, tell a layered and intimate story. The Two of Cups speaks of mutual recognition, a moment when two people truly see each other beyond appearance, beyond expectation. The Lovers asks you to choose from the heart, not out of obligation or fear. And the Hierophant, often associated with tradition, in this context reminds us that the most sacred unions are not those that follow a script, but those grounded in inner truth and shared purpose. You might notice subtle signs now. A message that stirs something you thought had faded. A dream that brings someone back into your awareness. A sudden stillness when you're around a particular person, as if your soul knows something your mind can't explain yet. These moments are not random. They're invitations. To pause. To listen. To feel without rushing to define. Sometimes we hesitate to receive love because we think we need to be more healed, more whole, more accomplished. But love doesn't wait for you to be finished. It meets you where you are and walks with you as you grow. And as scripture reminds us in so many gentle ways, love is patient. It is kind. It does not seek perfection, it seeks connection. If you find yourself retreating emotionally out of fear of repeating old patterns, remember, the past only repeats when we refuse to see it with new eyes. But when you approach love with softness instead of armor, with self-respect instead of self-erasure, you create the space for a very different story to unfold. Not the story of a fantasy, but of a foundation. A real, earthy, enduring connection. So if someone makes you feel safe without trying to impress you, if they show up consistently, not just when it's convenient, if their presence feels like a calm you didn't know you needed, don't ignore that. That's not drama. That's alignment. And perhaps the most radical thing you can say this month is this: I'm ready to be loved exactly as I am. Not someday. Not when I've fixed every flaw. But now. Because love isn't earned through performance. It's revealed through presence. And the person who is meant for you? They'll know that. Not every breakthrough is loud. Not every transformation announces itself. Sometimes, the most powerful shifts happen in silence, when you finally allow yourself to tell the truth that's been resting beneath your breath for years. And Libra, after all the emotional and relational movement this month has brought so far, may now opens a quieter, deeper portal, one that leads inward. You've already begun choosing yourself in love and releasing what no longer fits. But now comes the moment to pause and look within. Not to fix. Not to perform. But to remember. The astrological energy surrounding you now is uniquely reflective. With Saturn, the planet of structure, responsibility, and divine discipline, moving through your 12th house, the house of subconscious patterns and spiritual closure, you may feel pulled inward more than usual. This isn't isolation. It's invitation. The 12th house asks, what parts of you are still hiding in the shadows? What parts are you still apologizing for, still reshaping to make others comfortable? In truth, many of us were taught that freedom looks like permission, from society, from family, from circumstance. But the deeper kind of freedom is never handed to us. It's claimed. And not by fighting or proving, but by soft, radical honesty. Honesty about what you want. About what you feel. About who you are when no one is watching. This is a sacred turning point, Libra. One where your worth is no longer measured by how useful you are to others, or how well you manage to keep the peace. You're being asked to trade approval for alignment. And though that may come with temporary discomfort, it opens the door to long-term peace. The tarot cards reflecting this moment, the Hermit, Temperance, and Nine of Wands, offer a layered but gentle path forward. The Hermit invites stillness. Not loneliness, but solitude with purpose. He walks away from noise not to escape, but to listen more clearly to what his soul is saying. Temperance reminds you to integrate your past with your present, your dreams with your discipline. And the Nine of Wands, often misunderstood as pure defense, is actually resilience. It's the quiet strength of someone who has walked through fire but chooses not to live from fear. This inner journey isn't about rejecting the world. It's about returning to yourself before you re-engage. Because when you know who you are in private, no public pressure can shake you. And if you're feeling torn between pleasing others and honoring yourself, remember this. You weren't created to live on a script someone else wrote. And no one who genuinely loves you will ask you to betray your own spirit to stay close. Sometimes, the most compassionate thing you can do for everyone is to be honest with yourself first. As the saying goes, truth sets you free, but it's your willingness to face it that unlocks the chains. God doesn't ask for perfection, only sincerity. And sometimes that sincerity looks like a whisper in the dark that says, I want more than this version of myself. That moment, that whisper, is where courage begins. A simple practice this month may help ground you. Take 10 minutes each day to sit quietly, hand over heart, and repeat a phrase that anchors your truth. I am safe when I live honestly. This is not a performance. It's a return. A moment where you remind yourself that safety isn't found in being liked, it's found in being known. And while others may not always understand your choices, they don't need to. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to live aligned. And when you stop abandoning yourself to avoid disappointing others, you begin to build a life that is truly your own. One rooted in inner clarity, not outer applause. One where freedom is no longer something you chase, but something you carry, quietly, confidently, inside your chest. It's easy to forget, especially when your heart is built for connection, that you were never born to be everyone's anchor. Libra, your gift of harmony is extraordinary, but May asks you to redirect it inward, to stop searching for balance out there, and instead begin cultivating it inside your own soul. You've released. You've remembered. You've realigned. Now, the final lesson of this season is perhaps the most liberating of all: to live a life not to be loved by others, but to love yourself, fully, truthfully, and without delay. You're not here to be a mirror for everyone else's needs. You're here to be a light of your own design. And that begins when you stop asking, "What do they want from me?" and start asking, "What do I need to feel whole?" It's not selfish to put your joy first. In fact, it's one of the most powerful acts of love you can offer, to yourself and to the world. Because when you're nourished from within, your love no longer comes from obligation. It comes from overflow. Financially, you may notice new opportunities blooming, especially around creative ideas or unexpected collaborations. This isn't luck. It's a reflection of how you've been shifting, slowly stepping away from what drains you and moving toward what lights you up. When income flows from aligned effort, it sustains you on every level. But a gentle reminder comes with this: don't let emotions drive your spending. Whether it's to soothe discomfort or impress someone, purchases made in disconnection often leave you emptier than before. This month, give yourself permission to invest in what truly supports your growth. Not in flashy distractions, but in steady foundations. Your body is also speaking louder now. With so much emotional movement in recent weeks, it's no surprise if your nervous system feels overstimulated. Simple rituals can ground you again. Start by limiting caffeine, especially if it's become your way to outrun exhaustion. Listen when your body asks for stillness. Create space on the weekends for a digital detox. A few hours or even a day without screens can return you to your breath, your body, your presence. Chamomile tea, chia seeds, warm ginger water. These are not just physical supports, they're messages to your system: you are safe. You are cared for. And in matters of love, this may be a season of emotional reckoning. Someone from your past could reappear, and that pull may feel familiar, even comforting. But comfort is not always the same as truth. Before you open that door again, ask yourself, am I still in love with them, or am I in love with who I used to be when they were in my life? Nostalgia is powerful, but it isn't always rooted in what serves you now. You've changed. You've grown. Don't forget that. The version of you that longed to be chosen is no longer the one who stands here now. Today, you choose yourself first, and everything that's meant for you will honor that. God doesn't ask you to earn love. He reminds you that love begins with how you see yourself. When you stop waiting for someone else to define your worth, when you stop auditioning for belonging, you become unshakable. That's the gift of this season, Libra. Not to finally receive someone else's approval, but to offer your own. To wake up each day and know that you are living in alignment, not for applause, not for validation, but because it simply feels right. May has unfolded as a quiet revolution in your life. A dismantling of false roles. A return to truth. And now, you have the chance to live that truth, boldly, gently, and completely. Not by trying to be everything to everyone, but by being everything to yourself. And that, dear Libra, is not the end of your journey. It's the real beginning. Libra, you were never meant to spend your life standing quietly in the middle just to keep everything around you at peace. You were not born to be neutral, you were born to be true. And if there's one truth that's been gently rising within you this month, it's this: you are allowed to choose yourself. Without guilt. Without permission. Without fear. You've given so much of your time, your presence, and your love to others, often without asking for anything in return. But May has come with a new rhythm. One that doesn't ask you to split yourself in two to make others comfortable. One that whispers, it's safe now. It's time. Time to step into the fullness of who you are. Time to stop being a quiet balancing act and become a quiet fire, steady, strong, and deeply alive. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. The people who are meant to walk with you won't need convincing. And the ones who fall away? Let them. Because the life you're building now isn't about compromise, it's about clarity. About walking in alignment even if you walk alone for a while. About waking up each morning and choosing peace, not performance. So let me ask you, from that place of stillness you've been cultivating, what would your life look like if you stopped trying to be what everyone else needed, and simply became who you already are? What possibilities would open if you believed, deeply, that being fully yourself was not only enough, but sacred? You don't need to earn the right to rest. You don't need to apologize for your joy. And you certainly don't need to keep dimming your light just to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. This video wasn't made for everyone, it was made for you. And if you're still here, it means you already feel the pull of what's coming. A better chapter, a clearer voice, a softer kind of strength. But to receive it fully, you have to say yes. Not just to the path ahead, but to yourself. So today, I invite you to breathe into your chest, close your eyes, and ask gently, where in my life am I still shrinking? Then ask again, what would it feel like to stop? When you're ready, I'd love to hear from you. What angel number has been following you lately? What message do you feel your soul is trying to send you? Comment below with the number that resonates most, and let this be your moment of claiming. Not for me, but for you. And if this message moved something in you, if it echoed something you hadn't yet put into words, please take a second to like, share, or subscribe. Not just to support this space, but to help spread this energy to someone else who might be needing it, quietly, just like you were. Libra, thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing growth, softness, truth, and your own light. You are not a scale to be balanced, you are a soul to be honored. Not a symbol of perfection, but a living, breathing reminder that harmony starts when we stop performing and start being. May this month be your quiet revolution. May you walk forward not as someone who must choose sides, but as someone who has chosen themselves. Fully. Finally. Unapologetically.